Indian Society of Peritoneal Surface Malignancy, which we deal and we maintain a Indian HIPEC registry. It is very important for you to understand all ovarian cancers are not same. All peritoneal metastases are not same. Because the reason is there is a group of diseases which we actually have where people don't die of systemic mats, like, brain mats, bone mats, or deep liver parenchymal mats. The majority of cause of death is the peritoneal problem. Cachexia, obstruction, abdominal ascites, and they die because of not able to eat, not being fit by ECOG criteria for medical oncologists to give. Because ovarian cancer is one there, 5, 6, 7 lines are there. If you give a fit patient to medical onco, they can keep them for a long time. But unfortunately, over the line, patient loses their fitness, able to eat and maintain nutrition, obstruction and cachexia, ascites, abdominal problem outweigh. These are the group called as peritoneal surface malignancy. By and large, the death is because of what happens inside the peritoneal cavity and rarely because of extraperitoneal, even though there may be some disease outside. And ovarian cancer fits into this particular bill completely, which comes to this. And the other issue is ovarian CA is something where IV chemo concentration will not achieve high in peritoneal cavity. That's why it's an irony. A disease which is amenable for good surgery, a disease which melts with chemo. It is highly chemosensitive, yet peritoneally it comes back. Practically 90% recur in the flow. The reason is it is an intraepithelial tumor where the concentration of IV chemo cannot reach adequately. If you escalate multiple dose and multiple drugs, it is at the expense of bone marrow suppression and the toxicity, which is the limiting factor. So at some form of intraperitoneal therapy to reach high concentration without limiting the bone marrow is a balance which we need to strike in this. So the concept is ovarian cancer, predominant site is in peritoneal cavity. By and large, in its natural history, restricts there, and the 99% cause of death is abdominal problem, ascites, obstruction, not able to eat, and cancer cachexia. This is how most of the stage 3, 4 come. If you take 100 ovarian cancer, most of them would have extensive parietal disease, diaphragm disease, mesentery disease, rectosigmoid bowel involvement, portahepatis, paraiotic nodal mass. So which means this is how they come, because it's a silent killer for us. And this is also reflected by my group, which showed in India when they audited hundreds of cases. You can look at it. To achieve a good cytoreduction, you need to do all these procedures, splenectomy, sometimes partial wedge resection of stomach, and bowel resections, parietal peritonectomy routinely. So you may have a disease like this, which looks like this. Beauty of ovary is it respects the surface. So you may have a disease which is like this. Unless you do a good effort and remove all the disease at the end of the surgery, this patient cannot be cured no matter what amount of chemo, bevacizumab, or PARP inhibitors you give. Which means every 5% extra effort you put in upper abdomen, patient gains 5 months. So effort is something which is very important. Now we will look at the 3 standard modality we have in advanced ovarian cancer. The standard of care currently. Remember, gold standard, standard of care. The gold standard in advanced ovarian CA is with or without neoadjuvant chemo, optimal cytoreduction, and adjuvant chemo, IV chemo. This is a gold standard. So if you use the current gold standard with best surgery and IV chemo, either after surgery, before and after, unfortunately stage 3C, 5-year survival is 10% only. Remember, that's why in this disease, unlike all other diseases like breast, colon, rectum, we don't say 5-year survival, 10-year. Median survival 42 months, 32 months, DFS 11 months. Very sad, because if you go to 5-year, 100 out of 190 are dead. So median overall survival in most of the studies are 37 to 40 months, which is the current gold standard level 1 evidence treatment. If you look back all the trials, the Vergote trial, and then MRC trial, which showed by giving neoadjuvant chemo, increase the optimal cytoreduction, reduce the morbidity, mortality, then do surgery, 70% cytoreduction and adjuvant chemo. Even if you take it as standard of care over and above the gold standard, look at this curve. Around 4 years, 70 to 80% are dead as per this curve. Few by chance, less than 5% live 5, 6, 7 years. Now people say these are a decade-old trial. My medical oncologists say when you do HIPEC, 3 important factors you have to consider. Number 1, what is the impact of bevacizumab introduced now, which was not there? Does it negate HIPEC? Second point, what is the impact of PARP inhibitors? Do we really need HIPEC in this? I have analyzed the trials based on this. Now look back the recent surgical trial, which is a Scorpio trial, published just a few months back, 2020, few months. We will not go into the debate of neoadjuvant chemo interval versus cytoreduction. This is a good surgical trial done by good cancer center, by good gynae onco, with this optimal cytoreduction in the tune of 69 to 70. What is that in this trial? Good arm on both sides. Both the neoadjuvant arm, surgical arm, good. What message I want to do is, in either of the arm, DFS is only 15 to 14 months, which means less than 1.5 years, best surgery, best neoadjuvant chemo, best adjuvant chemo, they start failing. By 40, 41 months, most of them are dead. This is the most recent trial. Even though you have to look at this point, look at the curves. No matter what you did, 15 months PFS, 43 months survival. Now the issue of medical oncologists. You know what is the beauty of this particular trial, which I want to say? Look, this yellow line. Bevacizumab maintenance was used in majority of this patient, which means it is a new good cytoreduction, gynae onco, bevacizumab also used, yet this is what is it. So next to gold standard, this is the best you can do today, unless they are like BRCA mutated and you add PARP inhibitor. In this, in spite of best surgery, best chemo, and more than 50% taking bevacizumab, still 15 months 43, which means the current gold standard of care is not sufficient in ovary. It is second worst disease than pancreas, unfortunately, even though it is sensitive. So what is the reason? Because we are not concentrating peritoneal cavity. There is miliary disease. Chemo given by IV doesn't penetrate more than 1 to 2 millimeter. High concentration doesn't reach and it doesn't stay adequately. That is why the concept of giving chemo into the abdominal cavity came. Now, this is the most irony in our oncology field. 7 randomized controlled trial done over 10 years showed survival benefit, except one trial GOG done 2 years back where bevacizumab was added, so it adulterated. 6 out of 7 randomized controlled trials showed survival benefit. Lot of trial. And look at this value. Survival was 109 months. You know what? In the history of ovarian cancer, only 3 conditions we have 100 months survival. One is IP therapy. Second, Japanese GOG dose dense Paclitaxel, which reached 102. And Marcelo Daraco's upfront surgery with HIPEC 100. No trial in the history of ovarian cancer ever has touched 100. In spite of all these trials and meta-analysis coming, showing all of them favoring towards the left, diamond of the forest plot being on the left, it is not practiced because toxicity is not proved. You know, me and Amita tried and we published it. And in spite of the alert from American Cancer Society that in ovarian cancer, you must integrate some form of IP, either normotherapy, code-based. It is not easily reproducible. Dedicated team is required. Patient needs to come 3 times a month. And people couldn't understand. So irony, 7 randomized controlled trial, OS, not become standard of care. But what it showed us, there is a survival benefit in IP if you can balance other part, logistic, reproducibility, complication, morbidity. Now the other issue medical oncologists ask me is, in this era where majority go to neoadjuvant, is there still a role of IP? I would recommend everybody to go and read this article. Beautiful. Even in the era of neoadjuvant, IP has a benefit. For the want of time, I can't discuss. We can discuss this other, which means neoadjuvant, no need to worry. Bevacizumab, no need to. I will show you PARP data now. In India, we did the largest trial. We followed for 7 months, about 160 patients of IP therapy. We had a 62-month survival. And in Indian patient, you can see 86% could complete all the chemo cycle with very acceptable toxicity. We published this in Indian Journal and EHAC. But it is not popular because of the reasons which Amita will also tell, and all of us. This is very sad. We know it is useful but not able to do. So what is the concept of HIPEC? All the macroscopic disease seen to human eye, you remove by cytoreduction. then you give some form of intraperitoneal chemo, either normothermic or with heat, to kill those 1 to 2 millimeter. Otherwise, they all are going to come back in 13 months as per all the new trials. So this is the concept of taking macroscopic disease, microscopic disease, high dose in the peritoneal cavity without toxicity in the IV and bone marrow. If you add heat, cytotoxicity will kill malignant cell. Cellular metabolism is altered. Drug penetration is high, more than 5 millimeter, 10 millimeter. Temperature dependent increase effect of chemo, and depth also increases. That's why this HIPEC comes. Now, is this true that, when you do this particular baking, I call this baking of the intestine, Chinese noodle baking. So you put the chemo area and then you do a noodle, frying Chinese noodle. Is this just a hope or a hype? Is it some egoistic surgeon who think they're better and they can do any surgery because you have a hammer, you hit the nail? What can be done, what should be done, being different? Or is there an option? I will analyze unbiased for you all the meta-analysis. 4 meta-analysis came last year, thanks to Dr. Rohit. Beautifully has analyzed and helped me. RCTs and other prospective. Remember, luckily in HIPEC ovary, we have 2 randomized controlled trials, 6 meta-analysis. Even if you don't have, sometimes well-conducted, good prospective multi-institution are good. Then we have to look that are we harming the patient? Is morbidity more for possible 4-5% benefit? Is quality of life very bad? My medical oncologist say, you do HIPEC, patient nahi aayega mere paas chemo, more morbidity. And what is the Indian data and the guidelines I'll analyze? The first landmark paper was from NCI Milan, which was a multi-institutional prospective study where HIPEC was done. This is one of the few trials in the world which showed 100-month survival. It is not an RCT, but a prospective multi-institutional trial where they showed operative death 4%, and then in spite of toxic surgery, chemo is here, and then patient will go. Then in the systematic meta-analysis and review. The first one was my very close friend Novala Bakrin, who is in France, Lyon, published in EJSO. This is a trial on 566 patients from the French Gynae Onco HIPEC group, which showed a survival benefit. This was followed up by another meta-analysis which came, prospective phase 2 meta-analysis, which showed benefit. Analyzing all this, the meta-analysis looked at median overall survival, progression-free survival, both upfront interval, showed a survival benefit to the tune of 77 months. Remember in CA ovary, 2 terms you must remember. The best of the trial, including Scorpio, what did it show? By 13-14 months, people start biochemically failing. 40-45 months, most are dead. 10% live 5 months. They're good strata patient, platinum sensitive, good medical oncologists give sequential chemo, maybe bevacizumab, and then they keep them alive for 5. So in general, 13 months failure, 40 months, 45 months dead, 90 dead by 5. Look at the way the curve moved in meta-analysis, 77 months, 73 months. So this started showing a trend. Then the first American Society Peritoneal Surface Malignancy multi-institutional prospective study of 1,051 patients followed over 10 years from 7 centers. Remember, there may be one surgeon doing good. You can't replicate. You need apples, oranges, all the good, bad surgeon, good institution, all different type of patients. Good patient, poor patient, no ICU, ICU. So 7 center, first time in the history of ovarian, 5-year survival 58%. 58% from 10, median survival 73. Don't get carried away. This is not a randomized control trial. So this is not even level 2A, 2B evidence. So don't get carried away with this. They just give a path, but not high level evidence. Then same time, the Australian group, Australian group from Morris group looked at Australian patient HIPEC of a large number, and they found the survival benefit of HIPEC in ovary continued beyond 8 years, which is the proof of pudding. Then in 2018, a good RCT, good meta-analysis came, taking 13 good prospective multi-center study and 2 RCTs. You can read this. Their final conclusion was addition of HIPEC in the right setting improves OS. I will give you the caveat. So look at this. This is a forest plot, except one all steady on the right. 1, 2, 3 diamonds. 3 diamonds, Sahu, Amita, and all my colleagues know, diamond is very difficult to get in a forest plot, showed in favor of this. Now I look at into 2 RCTs. The first RCT is Van Riel trial, who is going to speak on June 1st on behalf of AGOI and ISPSM. She's going to speak to Indian audience. We can listen. This is a beautiful trial, but remember, this is not a trial for upfront surgery. Upfront surgery patients were excluded. That's why the survival is different. This is not in a good patients. A patient comes, you evaluate, not cytoreducible, go to interval cytoreduction. Then you do the best surgery and standard IV chemo, best surgery with HIPEC and do. Very well conducted study, multi-institutional, many centers involved, and they did a HIPEC. This showed median survival. Now look at this, 14.2 months PFS. Okay. People may say, oh, what is there? Scorpion trial without HIPEC also showed 13-14. But in Scorpio trial, all patients eligible for upfront surgery also were taken. Good surgery. So that's why don't confuse. What this trial says, bad group of patients where chemo is required to make them operable with bad performance status, high volume disease, very high volume, still HIPEC gave a statistically significant PFS and OS benefit. Look at this curve, and this carried on. Very well conducted trial, only in neoadjuvant chemo with interval cytoreduction. Both recurrence-free overall survival came, and they gained 3.5 by surgery alone. Surgery alone. Then there is a medical oncology. You can push this patient to platinum-sensitive recurrence, so there is more option of chemo manipulation to keep 3 years. Current standard of care. You give a fit patient of PCOG 0-1 to medical onco with platinum recurrence sensitive, they can keep 3 years patient alive. They can keep 5 years if they're BRCA mutated, and you can add PARP. So second question, did we lose quality? They also answered that the quality of life didn't deteriorate in spite of HIPEC being added. Number of bowel resection in HIPEC, no HIPEC is 24%. Stoma rates were same. Morbidity, mortality was same. This is one group. Then the German group analyzed by doing HIPEC, am I harming my patient? They looked at health-related hazards and quality of life and toxicity of HIPEC. They also analyzed that with HIPEC or without HIPEC, both have same quality of life. Same time in ASCO, when I was there, we presented our HIPEC and recurrent ovary 60 patients. When Van Driel group presented, Lim et al. From Korea presented. I was part of this discussion, honored to be in ASCO, to be called for discussion. They didn't show survival benefit. And the reason is they included stage 4. We know stage 4 other than 4A, plural cytology only are palliative. So they included stage 4. Then they used 75 milligrams dose when we all know cisplatin is 100. They did for 30 minutes, 60 minutes, which is not the standard of care. And this is in abstract form, we are awaiting full length. So this is one of the 2 criticism which didn't come, but for the want of science, when it gets fully published, we need to look at this. Now OV HIPEC 2 Van Driel is doing, because current evidence is only in interval cytoreduction HIPEC. If you have a patient upfront you're doing, can HIPEC make a difference or is it an aberration? Already OV HIPEC 2 has started. Van Driel under group next week, next week, June 1st week, we'll speak to Indian audience about this interim analysis and we'll look for this particular area. Then we had a recurrent CA ovary. This is a prospective randomized control phase 3 trial by Spilot's group. What did it show? CRS alone, 18% 3-year survival if you had HIPEC 75. This is one of those RCT which is not well accepted because single group, even though phase 3 prospective RCT, and it closed little prematurely. That is one of the reasons, even though it is RCT, it couldn't keep the evidence to level 1 in recurrent, and it kept it little low because of its fallacies. But look at this, 75% survival graph, and both platinum sensitive resistant benefited. So there is something which is telling. We published same time from our group, secondary cytoreduction fulfilling desktop criteria and HIPEC. This is published. We didn't find benefit in platinum resistant. We found significant benefit in platinum sensitive. Next issue is morbidity. All the trials which are published in HIPEC, I will analyze, including from Indian group, our group of 200, showed mortality is no different. 1.7%, morbidity 15, same as cytoreductive surgery group we have. And this is a landmark paper, what are the toxicity from my group, Ramya and Rohit and Ashwin has published. You can go and read. The effect of this chemo has no toxicity adding into intraperitoneal chemo. Last 5 slides and I'll end. I have about 45 seconds left. ISPSM keeps the largest Indian HIPEC registry. 26 centers in India performing HIPEC, 2016 patients in HIPEC for a period. Follow-up of 6 years. Prospectively maintained data of over 1,000 patients in India. What does it show? Multiple institutions, not my institution alone. We have contributed 306 cases, but 26 center. Look at it. Upfront, 470 patients in India. Interval cytoreduction 970, recurrent 606. What is the first message from Indian? Mortality in Indian group across all the patients, government said, everywhere 3.6%. So it is no different than cytoreductive. 4% most of the people have. And then the toxicity published in Annals of Oncology and JCO pleura and peritoneum. What does this registry say? If you do CRS alone or HIPEC, the Kaplan-Meier curve, look at this area. CRS alone 52 months, HIPEC 76 months. This is not an RCT, but a large HIPEC registry in real world in India. CRS with IV chemo, 4-year, 25% alive, rest dead, HIPEC 40% alive. Another caveat is we have large number of upfront and interval. The trend is upfront surgery HIPEC start doing better after 26 months. So there is an inclination showing upfront surgery with HIPEC was better than interval. If you compare CRS alone, CRS with IP chemo and HIPEC, what does this registry say? Where the confidence interval is 95%, I'll go it here. 52 months, 88 months, 76 months. CRS with IV chemo, 41% survival at 5 years, 68% with IP, 72%. Real world scenario in India. So this is one of the reasons the ASCO used our paper. You can see this one full day in the Medscape, they discussed our paper and result and published. So in conclusion, when we analyzed all these particular area and the mortality curve and optimal this one, there was no change in morbidity mortality. And recent NCCN has included HIPEC as a 2B. Remember, not level 1, but 2A, 2B is practiced real world scenario in interval cytoreduction. And the recent Chicago consensus, which published right now, which analyzed all the paper and group, showed that, if you have done a surgery, optimal cytoreduction is achieved, you should offer that patient one of the option as an HIPEC. Second issue is, what if we have a PARP inhibitor? I'll end in a minute. I'm sorry for overshooting by a minute. The other thing medical oncologists ask me is, in this era of bevacizumab and PARP, does HIPEC make a difference? I'll give more. Beauty is, HIPEC works the best in PARP inhibitor group and patients who are BRCA mutated. It is proved that hyperthermia works best in BRCA mutated. Survival benefit is maximum. Lot of paper are there. BRCA and HIPEC. If you want to do for one patient, that is a BRCA mutated if they are eligible. Next, bevacizumab. Does it change? The trial now says with the bevacizumab, if you add HIPEC, there is an extra benefit over and above there. These are the meta-analysis which have come. I'm not going to review. And 2 large meta-analysis which showed overall survival PFS benefit of HIPEC in interval cytoreduction. And they also show that morbidity, mortality, and quality of life doesn't change. These are 4 new trials published last year. You can go back from Chinese group, French group, US group, and others. And health-related hazards also didn't matter in them. And the last one is cost analysis comparing all the trial, PRIMA trial, PAMOLA 1 and 2, all the trials. It showed bevacizumab 1 year, this is the cost and the benefit. PARP inhibitor, this is the cost. HIPEC as the maximum benefit of the cost compared to all for the benefit it gave. This is a beautiful paper. Now 15 randomized controlled trial in HIPEC and ovary are going on. Last message will come there. These are a lot of trials which are going, phase 3 trials. So this is my conclusion slide. Everything is not nailed, just we can hit. What can be done, what should be done is different. Upfront surgery, registries, prospective, Indian real-time show, but no RCTs. Only prospective, multi-institutional, non-randomized. So it is a level 2 evidence. With the way of our Indian HIPEC registry and our institution data, it will try to come to high level. We have to wait until OV HIPEC 2. So upfront, not outside clinical trial with IRB approval of your institution level 2. Interval cytoreduction, 6 meta-analysis, randomized controlled trials, not level 1, but level 2A. Consolidation, no, level 3, not evidence-based. In recurrence, even though we have 1 randomized controlled trial, 3 meta-analysis, they are with lot of bias. So it is not level 2A, not level 2B, not level 1, level 2B. We have to await for these trials to come. So this is very important to keep our head on our shoulder, understand where to do, how to do. This is my message. Ovarian CA, most of them recur very fast. They're not platinum sensitive resistant. They die in 1.5 years. If you give platinum sensitive to medical oncologist, you can give neoadjuvant chemo or surgery. Conventional surgery without intraperitoneal chemo of any form, platinum resistance sets in fast. They recur fast. They die fast. But if you do a good surgery and some form of intraperitoneal therapy integrating and heat, they recur late. Good performance status, they become platinum sensitive, then GEMOX, nab-paclitaxel, bevacizumab, PARP inhibitor, platinum are there, you can achieve 60 to 70 months. So HIPEC is not a competitor to bevacizumab or medical onco or PARP inhibitors. It is in conjunction with medical onco to increase the survival, which is very important to understand. So in conclusion, CRS is more important. HIPEC improves overall survival and RF in selected group as per the trial published without changing morbidity, mortality. Quality of life is not affected. Do a good surgery with intraperitoneal as per the desktop criteria. In this era, if you do interval cytoreduction, achieve optimal CC0, then as per the patient, you have to give ethically one option in discussion as HIPEC to the patient broadly. If you have a platinum sensitive recurrent, good performance and fulfill desktop criteria, you can give this option. These are the two setup evidence-based currently HIPEC has to be discussed with patient. Rest all is based in a clinical trial and we have to wait until we do. Remember, HIPEC learning curve is 90 to 100. Morbidity, mortality is different in first learning curve. So don't jump into it tomorrow. Right institution, right patient, right ethical way is the only place. These are the two places where you should consider this. And I welcome everybody 2 weeks from now to listen to Vandrial. Thank you very much, Sahu. Sorry for overshooting. I put a lot of effort on this slide for the benefit of science. It took more time. Thanks to Rohit, my colleague.
Thank you, Dr. Somsekhar. The passion was very much there. Do I agree in completion? There is a science opposite to that, but the point is HIPEC is there to stay. Where will it fit in is the big question that the future trials is going to answer. So before I go into Dr. Amita, who has a 45 minutes, good 45 minutes, and if the discussion goes well, under 10 minutes, I would just pay our tribute to one of your gynec oncologist colleague, which we lost in last 2 weeks, Dr. Praveen Rathore. It will be a real tribute to him, just to remember him, because there are a lot of us who have spoken with him. Few of us have worked with him, and he belonged to an institute where I did my DM. So it would be very befitting of us to pay, and really a young life lost is something which we cannot bring back. But the best we can do is this meeting, we can dedicate it to him because he was so much passionate, and I see the lot of passions in all of us. So
Sahu, if I may add GS Bhattacharya also, if he can.
Yeah. And Dr. GS, yes, Dr. GS is
very active.
And he was highly active in Agai WhatsApp group, maximum calls he used to be.
To me, he was more like a father-like figure, and I spoke to him once a week at least. So there's much more I knew of Dr. GS than I knew of Praveen probably, but these are lives who we have lost, not maybe due to COVID, one due to COVID, but these are lives which are so essential for oncology. And if they would have been there, oncology would have been much, much better. Our lives would have been much, much better. So with this small tribute, what we can do at this point of time, and with the science to move on, that's what both of them would have wanted if they would have been here today. I would request Dr. Amita Maheshwari, who is the professor of surgical gynec oncology from Tata Memorial Hospital, Mumbai. And I could not have got a much more sensible, stable-minded moderator who would not be biased for anything, but to put the evidence forward, and probably the lecture which Dr. Somsekhar put forward, what is the real truth? I think Dr. Amita in his panel is going to take it into account. So please, Dr. Amita, all yours.
Okay, so I think we all remain friends at the end of this panel, regardless of what we discuss. Okay, a very good evening. So may I invite panelists.